In today's video, guys, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new racing simulation game Project Cars 2. We're going to take a look at some of the good stuff. I'm going to give you my first impressions, and we're also going to get a little bit sideways. Let's go! Whee!
Y'all know the name.
What's going on, guys? My name is Matinio, and welcome to Project Cars 2. It's finally here. I'm very excited. I'm sure you guys are as well. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is taking a look at the game. We're going to take a look at some of the good stuff, some of the bad stuff from the small amount of time I've been playing it. We're also going to do a bit of driving as well and take a look at that. And I'm just going to give you my overall first impressions of this game. So let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to be presented with when you get into the game is going to be the menu system here. Now, it's not so dissimilar from the last one. Everything is seemingly in the same place as it was last time. It's just certain menus and sub-menus have been streamlined. It was one of the things a lot of people highlighted in early reviews of early builds of the game, that the menu system is a lot cleaner, and it very much is. So like I said, everything is pretty much in the same place as it was last time. It's just certain things a bit more streamlined, a bit more simple. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, this is an online lobby and I want to select my car and my livery. So if we say jump onto this, and I've got this car here that I want to drive. In the last one, I had to find the car, then go to garage, then find the car again, then set the livery, and then wind my way back through each of the menus. It's a lot easier this time around. Just go to livery, select on the square button, find the one you want, press select, and boom, you're away. So that's really good. It was one of the things I really wanted to see them improve, because the last one, like I said, sometimes it just felt like for very simple things you were sent the long way around to get it changed. So really good that they've done that. In terms of other stuff, there are some new things as well. Esports as well it's starting to become a lot bigger thing, and sim racing is starting to find its way into it a lot more now. And on here you can view actual Twitch streams of esports events. You can watch catch up if you've missed it when it was on live, or you can watch the scheduled results, the news and so on. So that's good as well, and it's good that they're embracing it a little bit more, that sim racing is coming a bit more to the fore with regards to esports, because I've heard talk that it might become an Olympic event. So there's always the possibility, not for me, maybe not for all of you, but there may be someone who gets into esports with Project Cars and they're so good that they find themselves driving a real car, real racing one day. Who knows? It could happen. I don't know. But that's really good that they're starting to embrace that a little bit more as well. The profile menu seems a lot more streamlined as well. So things are a lot easier to find. You can go into it a little bit more detail, so you can look at your stats in a little bit more detail. One of the things I hope they have done is sorted out the driver profile and the overview thing, because in the last game it told you how many hours you've been playing it, which is fine, and then you look at it and say how many race starts, wins, podiums and other finishes you had. If you add the wins, podiums and other finishes up together, it won't match the number for starts, which I found weird. Whether it's that way by design, I don't think so, because that would be kind of dumb. But I hope they've done that. That's a little thing, but I hope they've sorted that out. And also you can take a look at your images. I've already played around with the images and got some pretty cool pictures. There's one with a Ferrari F40 LM, which is cool. We've got this one here. Looks impressive, but I went to a wall. Literally half a second later, I was in a wall. Same with this one. Looks kind of impressive, but yep, that ended up in a wall as well. I didn't do this to look cool, it just happened, and then I went into a wall. But yeah, all of these pictures were taken with the new drone cam, which we're going to take a look at as well when we get into some driving. But yeah, it's just a lot easier to navigate the game, which is really good, one of the big things. There is something, however, in the early part of the game that really annoyed me, and that was the controls. Now, with Project Cars 1, when you jumped into it for the first time with your steering wheel, the default setup was okay. You could turn laps in it, but you need to refine it a little bit to suit it down to your, to get it to fit your driving style, so to speak. It's a bit different with this one in the fact that the default setup, in my opinion, is garbage. It's so difficult to just turn a lap with the default setup. I couldn't do it. I had to go to this, and I spent 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out the right setup. And while the configuration part, the menu we're looking at here, is pretty much the same as it was in the first Project Cars, there has been a little bit of a difference to this menu, the force feedback. And I was just on my Discord chat with, it was like the Apex Stalkers Discord chat, and a guy called Ice Cold Gilden Bollocks. Great name, isn't it? But he kind of hit the nail on the head. It seems even more important with this game now that you get the level of force feedback right before you can start turning laps. If you haven't got it right, you're going to be off the circuit. So he hit the nail on the head with that. That was something I was trying to kind of figure out and verbalise in my brain. But what makes it even more difficult is now you've got this thing called flavours. So you've got informative, immersive and raw. Now, with like a G29, like my friend was playing with, he says that the immersive one was best for him, but anything else it's undrivable. Informative works for me, whereas the other two don't. Raw is more to do with direct drive wheels, so you might want to stay away from that unless you have one. But my main gripe with this comes from the fact that some of the explanations, you may as well put them in French. I don't understand them. I don't get them. You guys may. I don't. If you're new and you're coming into this is going to be a little bit hard to follow. So let's just part way through this paragraph. So the setting is an open sweep from aligning torque, MZ in brackets, force 0, bracket again, where surface detail is more pronounced, but there is less feel when it comes to tire slip, close bracket, to slide load, bracket FY, close bracket, force. You see what I mean? I had to watch a video to get an explanation of an explanation. So I think they could have done a lot more to maybe make this a little bit more accessible for people. I mean, once it's set and you've got it where you want it, you don't really come back to this menu, I don't think. You don't need to. Once you've got the sweet spot, you're probably happy with it. A lot of the time, once this is set, the rest of the feel comes down to the actual car setup. So, but making this a little bit easier, having to spend 2-3 hours just figuring this stuff out so you can actually turn laps. I'm not talking about turning laps quickly, I'm just talking about turning laps. It's a little bit annoying, so I think they could have done better with this, in my personal opinion. The other bits, of course, the extras, this is all the same. You can actually buy gear now, so you can buy jackets. A lot of the stuff is very expensive, I'll be honest. It's very, very expensive. I don't know whether you'll be able to buy your digital content. I think most of that will go through the PlayStation Store. You may have to come here to buy the Season Pass, which I think they're releasing, but I got the collector's edition of this game, so I've already got the Season Pass and the bits and bobs that came with it. And if you do want to see an unboxing of the collector's edition, please leave a like and a comment down below just to let me know. I'm in an hour, I'm on the fence about it a little bit as to whether to do that video, but I've already kind of recorded it. It's just about whether I let it see the light of day. So if you want to see that, let me know. But yeah, so that's the overall view from the menus. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in and we're gonna go do some driving. We're going to see what that's like. So I'm going to get something set up and I'll be back in a second. Okay then guys, so here we are in the pits and we are at Long Beach and I'm in the Mitsubishi Evo Time Attack car. Now, before we jump into some laps and start driving this thing, there are a couple of new things, and it's, like I said, a little bit of a different layout as to what you may have been used to from Project Cars 1. There's a bit more information here. So you've got at the top there in the right, you've got the ambient temperature, the track temperature, the wind speed and direction, and you've got the forecast as well. You've got the tyre pressures and the fuel load and stuff like that. But one of the awesome things, and this is really good, I didn't even think of this being added, but you've got this new thing called Race Engineer. So, as you can see, ideal for drivers who are inexperienced at tuning a car setup. So, let's say you've turned in 3-4 laps and you know the car's struggling in certain areas. Maybe you're struggling to get it through a corner, or you're struggling to get it slowed down in certain, the high-speed corners. You can go to this. Now, braking, downforce and gearing stuff, I'm pretty good at that stuff, I know that. Suspension, of course, it's a foreign language to me. I don't understand it for the life of me. So, let's say, hypothetically speaking, as you can see, you know what the car's doing. So the car doesn't turn into corners, okay? It'll actually whereabouts in the corner, so it's throughout the corner, on corner exit, or on turning. So let's say it's on corner exit. It will give you a suggestion on what to change, which is really good. So it's really accessible. If, like me, I'm okay at setting a car up, but I'm not brilliant. So if you're completely new to this, you're new to like simulation racing games, and it's something you've been looking to get into, but this part is daunting. I mean, admittedly, you go into the actual setup menu, this is pretty daunting. There's a lot of stuff here, and you don't know what half of it does, especially when it comes to dampers and suspension. I have no idea what any of this does. Slow bump, fast bump, no clue at all. I'm not even going to think about it. This stuff is fairly self-explanatory, but if, like I said, if you're new to this and you want to start to learn to set up a car, this is a brilliant tool for it. So I'm absolutely amazed they've got this in, really. It wasn't something I even thought of to put in there, but to have it in there is really good, and it makes it accessible for new guys to come in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some laps, I think. So like I said, we're in the Mitsubishi Evo Time Attack car. I've driven a few laps with this thing already. It is insane. Let me just get my microphone set properly. Okay, let's see what it's like. Now, obviously we've got a pit limiter now, but you can actually set this as manual to be manual if you wanted to, if you have the buttons in order to do it. But someone has complained that if you're on a controller, you can't really change much in terms of the buttons and assign buttons where you want it, which is a little bit annoying. I mean, I'm not going to be playing it on a controller, so I can get away with it. But there are certain people out there who, steering wheels are expensive. Mine was about 350 quid when I bought it. Not everybody has the money to buy those sort of things. So they're probably consigned to a controller, and having certain things on that you can adjust, like I said, pit lane speed limiter or other bits and bobs, if you haven't got the buttons to do it, or you can't assign them, that is a little bit annoying, and it's going to take away from your enjoyment of the game. So while the actual control for a controller is in the way the car feels when you're driving it, that may have been improved. They may need to relook at how you can how and if you are able to assign buttons to the controller, or how many buttons you can, because I've already seen a few people who are on controller complaining about that a little bit. But in terms of the overall driving experience for this, it's not massively different from the first Project Cars. I don't think it was ever going to be a case that were going to be massive sweeping improvements, because the first one was alright, it was okay. It's more a case that they've refined it and fine-tuned the force feedback and the way the cars handle, and also maybe a couple of bits with regards to the looks of the game. Whoa. Okay, yeah, driving and talking, I'm still struggling to do it. But like I said, it just feels like a refinement, because the first one was pretty good, as I mentioned, and they've just fine-tuned it a little bit. Apologies about the driving. Like I said, if I'm trying to divide my brain between figuring out something to talk about and when I'm talking makes sense and actually driving and keeping this thing out of a wall, it can be quite difficult. Now, one of the other things I'm going to show you while I've got this here is the photo mode. Now, you were probably thinking, oh, why do we give a crap about this? The last game, while the actual the photos, you can take some pretty good ones. One of the problems was, with whatever mode, from my understanding, it felt like you were tethered to the middle of the car. Like it was an invisible string. You could go back, you could go around, but you couldn't manipulate the camera to go maybe here or around this corner. But now you've got the drone cam. Now, the drone cam's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. The drone cam is pretty good. But there is a problem with it. One, if you flick to go backwards, it will keep going backwards quite a way before it stops. So it's a little bit difficult to find the right air, find the sweet spot in terms of the angle you want, because it keeps moving after you've just flicked it a little bit. So you do have to do very small adjustments. But one of the other really annoying things about this is motion blur. If you want motion blur in your photograph, you have to go through the replay menu, and the replay menu is kind of long-winded. So you can go through all this here, and one of my main gripes and problems with it is if you're, say, if you're over here, I would say it's kind of hard to see what I'm highlighting in the menu. Because it is. Now you can see these ones, but when you come down to the locked views like cockpit, trackside, roof cam and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to see. So let's do that there, and then you can go to camera mode, and you can go to drone cam again. And now, there's no motion blur now. I don't know why. There was before. Let me just play it again. Right, let's see it this time. There should be motion blur here. We should have a bit of motion blur on this thing. There was last time. I don't know whether they changed something since I've started doing this. But yeah, there was previously motion blur. I'm not sure if there's a control. So yeah, I don't know what I've done. You did have the option for motion blur last time. Okay. Not quite sure where that's gone. Or maybe it's something to do with this. Ah, maybe it's this. There it is. There it is. So see what I mean? You've got a... It's not an automatically a given. There's no button you can click while you're in the camera menu to just apply motion blur. So let's just take that photo because that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's a little bit annoying. What we're going to do now though is, because I'm really excited, another thing I'm really excited about for this game is Rallycross. I'm going to jump in it and I'm going to turn some laps in a Rallycross car and we're going to see what that's like. So I'll be back in a second. I'm going to get that all set up and we're going to see what that's like. So be right back. Okay then guys, so here we are at Leiden Hill. I'm in a Polo, so let's go. No, sorry, that was terrible. I admit that's terrible. So let's just go. Now, I was very excited when I saw Rallycross in there. I love watching Rallycross. Not quite as much as something like Formula 1 or IndyCar or stuff like that, but it was something new because I've never actually played a rally game with a steering wheel and pedals, so I knew it was going to be a bit of a learning curve. And admittedly it is. There is a lot that I need to kind of work on. I think one of the big things I need is a handbrake. Oh, what the hell? I think one of the big things I need is a handbrake, because having it on a button is just horrible. It really is. And because it's the X button for the handbrake as things stand, I haven't changed it. It's right above. See, it's right above the pause button, and that stuff happens. So when you try and do it, so I try to just stay off it and try and just flick it through with power and braking. So I am going to be rigging a handbrake up, so I think you definitely do need it if you intend to do Rallycross and try and do well in it. But one of the other things that I was interested to see, I've not seen it yet, but I am going to be looking at it at some point very, very soon, is the new online penalty system and management system for that. Because from my understanding and from the games I've played, no penalty system has ever actually nailed it. They've never actually got it right because there's so many grey areas. There's so many you know, shades of grey. There's different variables in the equation. There's so much that can go on and so many things that can go into a actual a crash online, if that makes sense. That it's going to be difficult for an online penalty system to properly get it right. And I know that making contact with other drivers is going to be a thing, and if you've ever watched Rallycross, you will know that they make quite a lot of contact with each other going into corners. So, I mean, is that going to go against me? If I, say, get a bit sideways into the side of someone, am I going to be penalised for that? Or if I say maybe, you know, rub someone or in NASCAR, you know, rubbing's racing, it happens. Am I going to be punished for it and dumped into a lobby next time with people who just want to crash into you? So I was a bit sceptical of that from the start when I heard about how they were going to be doing it. So I'm going to be interested to see how that is. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually have a look at it yet, but I will be. But overall, first impressions of this game, very, very good. I think a lot of it, one of the big things they set out to do was more, not make wholesale changes to the first game, just refine how the first game worked, and I think they've definitely done that successfully. So, like I said, there are things that probably should have been improved from the first game, or maybe not made as complicated or being as changed as much, like the force feedback system that I had to go at. That should have been a lot easier to set up, in my opinion, and I really struggled with it. You guys may be a bit different, you may get on with that a lot better than I did, but I found it very, very difficult to kind of get set up, so maybe they should improve that and maybe make it a little bit easier to understand. But at the same time, they've made the game a bit more accessible to new people with the pit manager sort of thing, where you could the setup manager, so you could, you know, learn as you go really and make the adjustments you need, and so that's really good. I like that feature. That's really good. But I think overall I'd give it maybe a 9 out of 10 as it stands. But that's just first impressions. That estimation could go down next week when big glaring bugs make themselves blatantly apparent. I think it's important to just, you know, not expect this game or any game to be perfect, because obviously there are going to be things that are updated and changed and patched and so on as the game goes on. I mean, I got it a day early and there was already a 12 gigabyte patch waiting for me when I started the game, so we knew there were going to be those things are going to happen. There are going to be things that maybe aren't brilliant but are going to be improved as time goes on. But I think they've got a really good starting point for this game. There's not so many things wrong with the game that they're going to take ages to fix it all, which is really good. I think there was quite a lot of bugs with the last one on the initial release, but this one seems a lot better put together just from what I've seen. Again, I could be completely wrong. There could be a lot of stuff wrong with this game and I just haven't witnessed it yet. But overall, very good game, very enjoyable. If you are into your sim racing, I would definitely recommend it. If you're into your Rallycross, I would recommend it, but I would recommend you get a handbrake. And I will be doing a video on that because I'm building my own handbrake. So if you want to get a handbrake on the cheap without having to buy a shifter and rig it up that way, then my video might be the one for you. So yeah, overall, let's take this. I don't know, is this a Joker lap? I don't know. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I almost flipped this thing. Okay, I've made a complete mess of this. But like I was saying, guys, there we go. Project Cars 2. Pretty enjoyable. Give me the gear. There we go. Pretty enjoyable. Lots of new stuff in there. New content, new types of racing. As I said, Rallycross and oval racing and stuff like that. Lots of new cars. And like I said, there's some good new features to make it a bit more accessible to new people as well, so that's really good. But thank you everybody so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, you would like to see more Project Cars content from me, then please hit that like button and subscribe, because we will have the first episode of Racing Randoms coming up a little bit later today. If you're not new to the channel, you'll know what that series is, but it's basically where I jump into online lobbies and race random people, and normally I get very angry and sweary, so if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe. But yeah, thank you again for watching, guys. Take care. Hopefully you enjoy the game, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.